Hello everyone. This is a scene from last week. Basically, spring is here in Montreal, but before spring can really come out and play, everything needs to melt. And it was a freezing rain kind of day. Everything was ice or puddles, huge puddles of frozen water. But this reminded me that I have a lot of watercolors around that I haven't used in the last few months because I've been very much entrenched in charcoal and graphite and pastels. With temperatures going back to above freezing, I could start bringing out my watercolors for plein air painting. You're not going to be able to really do watercolors when it's -0. This is my QOR watercolor palette. I bought the set of 20, no, I bought 2 sets of 6 and 1 set of 12 when they came out with the sets back in, I don't know, 2016 or so. The trick was that there was one color that was a duplicate, so I have 23 QOR colors. 2 of those are quinacridone magenta. I didn't mind because PR 122 is a beautiful color, and at the time, Daniel Smith, M. Graham, which were my main watercolor brands, didn't actually have a PR 122. So I didn't mind having 2 5 milliliter tubes. It's the small tubes of QOR watercolors. To complete my set of 24, what I did was I added an opera pink, an opera rose. And the one in this palette is the one by Winsor & Newton. What you might notice during this refill of my palette is that I finished a few tubes of watercolors. Some of them I intend to repurchase, but some I won't. For example, green gold PY 129, I will be getting the larger tube as soon as I can get my hands on it because it's often sold out. It is one of the nicest PY 129s I know of, and it's one of my favorite colors, so I know I'm going to be using it. I only have a little bit left of the brown iron oxide brown. It's a PR 101, and I really like the granulation on that color. It is speckles of almost sand, black sand. And it's interesting. I don't have another color that granulates that way or sediments that way because I think it's more like sedimentation of the pigment. So that one I will be definitely getting a new tube, even though I haven't finished the tube yet. The next time I am definitely going to be finishing it, so I will get another 11 milliliter tube of that. But the Winsor & Newton Opera Pink, I will not be replenishing or repurchasing simply because I think there's nicer opera pinks. I like the Holbein Opera Pink, and I think I love the Sonnelier Opera Pink better than the one by Winsor & Newton. After I'm done with this little half pan, I will not be repurchasing that one. Now, before you say, well, opera pink is not light fast, one, I know, and two, when I do plein air sketching, I usually do it in a sketchbook. I rarely do it for posterity's sake, it's for my own pleasure. I take pictures of it, post them on Instagram, and just learn from my experience of plein air drawing and painting. So I do not expect these colors to last forever. And so I can play with the opera pink and have fun with it and not feel guilty about it because it's not going to last forever. And that's okay, but it's probably going to last forever in my sketchbook, and that's great. So I'm not going to go crazy. Simply this way of hitting the pans is to settle the bubbles and to settle the paint so it's a little more even. One thing you will notice is that there's one color that just went wrong. So wrong. It's oh, which one was it? Naples yellow or some type of mix that looked like Naples yellow. One, it's not a nice color. It's not a really pretty color. And when I went to squeeze the tube out, it was completely not dry because it hadn't completely dried, but it became like a paste, like a very thick paste, and I couldn't squeeze it out anymore. So one thing you can do is absolutely you can cut your tubes and go in and dig it. And then if you clean it up and push it back into the exit area, you can close back the tube by bending the aluminium on itself a couple of times, and it should keep for however long, until probably the end of summer or next year when I decide to replenish it, if I use that color, because I don't use it that often, but enough that apparently I needed to fill up the pan again. I don't use a tube squeezer thing that you can use and turn and it squeezes the paint out and it keeps everything flat. I just squeeze my tubes from the bottom all the way up and make sure it's as squeezed as it can be, flat, cleanly. As I put my tubes back, I make sure the paint is as squeezed to the front end as possible. So the next time I use them, it's easy and I don't have to deal with tubes that are all squeezed up in a unorderly fashion, if that makes sense. Also, before I close back the tube, I squeeze the tube on its sides. That means that it acts a little like a vacuum and it brings back the paint in. And you'll see me doing this where I basically squeeze it and it brings it back in. Before I forget, I will add this about Opera Pink. It seems to dry fairly quickly. It's one of the colors that's the most difficult to re-wet in a pan. It dried in the tube. In this case, it really dried enough that it was like dry putty. Almost hard, but not quite. So I was able to shape it and push it into the pan. And I remember when I painted with it outside, it just cracked. And in this case, what was left in the pan fell out of the pan. So that's me pushing it back on top of the putty that was in the tube. As for the rest, I will let you guys enjoy. At the very end, there will be some swatching of the colors very quickly on some extremely rough paper. It's Jackson's Eco Rough 300, no, I think it's 400-pound paper. It's a lovely, nice paper that the colors don't absorb into it. They stay on top of it very long, so the colors end up being fairly vibrant. In any case, I hope you enjoyed or will enjoy me refilling my palette. This is going to be probably my main palette. There's another one I use. Maybe next week I'll share with you my minimal, this is the palette I use when I don't know if I'm going to use watercolors or not, but I always have it with me just in case. This is more I know I'm going to probably do watercolors, so I'm bringing it. So enjoy. I'll see you next time. Take care. I hope you have a beautiful autumn spring. Ciao. Oh no. my god. It's hard. It's hard. It's not hard, but it's not coming out.